Good evening. We'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll begin our meeting as we always do with public audience. Is there anyone who would like to speak? Ms. Coe. Tom, do we have agendas?
Joan Coe, 26 Whitcomb Drive. After listening to the comments made during the budget workshop, I am concerned that the scope and services provided for by the town budget have not directed costs at the core needs of the town, but have enhanced private nonprofit groups. The budget has consistently increased the taxpayer cost for the performing arts by providing them with $15,000 golf carts, reduced lease costs for the town property, and other expenses related to their operating budget. The taxpayers should not be subsidizing the performing arts. Although the golf course has served the town over the years, the taxpayers are asked to subsidize the golf course at a cost of $90,000 per year when only half of the players are Simsbury residents. It is time to explore the need for a professional management company to manage the golf course, as our other towns and private clubs are doing. This is not only being fiscally responsible to the taxpayers, but allows the golfers the use of several golf courses with one membership fee. Recently, there was a survey about the costs and placement of the senior center. There was little enthusiasm for spending $6.4 million for a renovation at Eno Hall or anywhere else. There was never a consensus. At this time, Eno Hall has served the seniors without any costly additions. The $6.4 million addition and expansion of services will not solve the parking problem, but exacerbate it. The more programs, the more need for parking. The increase for parking will encroach on the parking for the restaurant patrons in the area, reducing their incomes. Placing an addition on Eno Hall detracts from the majestic building in the center of town. Many of the services provided by social services and program can be transferred to the recreation department and the library, thereby eliminating the need for an expansion. There was much discussion about the need to move SCTV immediately out of Eno Hall when the appropriate place is the library basement. Services would be increased with the cooperative efforts of the library, the cost would be greatly reduced, and infrastructure is already in place, and there would be no need to take businesses off the tax rolls. SCTV would be able to increase their services to the town. The only reason this cannot be done is because the Friends of the Library have imposed their will on the town for using the basement for sorting and selling used books. Political power should not interfere with the realistic placement of SCTV in the library basement. The Friends of the Library could use the Hudson property for their materials. The house and garage will not be demolished in the near future, and this is usable space for the Friends' used books at no cost to the town. Since it appears that the senior center will probably not be approved if placed in the capital projects, there will be no need to move SCTV from Eno Hall at all, and these discussions will be terminated. There was much discussion about costs of cybersecurity. This is one area where regionalization would be a benefit to all communities. By having one organization supply the and manage all cyber activity for all towns would be less costly, would provide a higher level of security and oversight that each town could provide. Is there a state agency that could provide this service? I am concerned about the $22.825 million cost for the renovating Henry James. The addition of an auditorium is not a necessity for the core curriculum and should be eliminated from the project. The project should be reduced to sprinkler safety and renovations to the core curriculum projects. Eventually, there will be a need for a full-time paid ambulance department. As the population increases, there will be strain on providing services to the community in a timely manner. Lives will be lost if there isn't an immediate response. We are now on the breaking point. This costly increase will place a strain on the budget in the coming years, and this has not been addressed. There will be a need to increase the police department's offices to meet the expanded use. The police department will eventually need to move from the basement of Town Hall to a separate facility for expansion. These increased services will place a burden on the budget for future years. Perhaps the town should take a one-year holiday on all capital projects until we know what the transfer of expenditures the state will be imposing on the town. Operating budgets can be reduced. Capital projects have to be funded year after year. There are too many unknowns to burden the town with increased debt. And all of my comments will be posted on Simsbury Patch, newsfeed at Facebook, Twitter at Joan Co., and Simsbury Forum topics. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Ms. Coe. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak in public audience? Okay. Seeing none, we'll go ahead and move back to overview of the budget. Sean, if you could just begin with a summary of where we are, where we left it.
Sure. So from the operating budget, the items discussed at the workshop on Saturday as possible additions: part-time police clerk at 12 hours a week, increase in the budget for road and drainage supplies and $127,000 for the offsetting $127,000 reduction in the road improvements line. The first selectman stipend, annualized $10,000, which would be an impact of $5,833, with a corresponding reduction in labor relations of the same amount. And then the only other reduction discussed was the auditor fee reduction of $2,400. All of those included would have a budget at 3.6% increase over fiscal 17.
The total amount for the proposed budget would be $20,192,804. All right. So this board had requested an updated chart of the capital budget showing where it fits in the 6-7. As you know, we reduced the capital budget for the senior center project down from 6.4 to 5.8. Is that correct, Sean?
That's correct.
And then this shows how it fits within the Board of Finance's cap. And so now I open it up to discussion. People wanted an opportunity to think about the budget. I appreciate all the comments and deliberations on Saturday. And of course, our department head presentations were outstanding as usual. So I open it up for discussion to see if there are any changes. We do have prepared motions for you tonight. We'll go ahead and make all motions except for water pollution control, which is finalizing their budget on Thursday, and we can do that on Monday. They are a fee-only board, so they do not affect the mill rate or the operating budget, so we can do that separately. Any questions or comments on the budget? Mike?
I looked at the budget, and I would agree with you. I thought we had a great meeting. As good as a meeting you can have on a Saturday that lasts 8 hours. No, I'm kidding. I thought it was a good meeting, but I really looked at the budget. I was trying to come up with, frankly, a way to try to reduce the budget without hurting the town and the residents and everything else. And even though I'm concerned that we do have the increase we have, I did not come up with anything that I was comfortable suggesting we cut. Doesn't mean something won't come to me, hopefully not in the middle of the night, but you know, I'm comfortable where we are.
Thank you for those comments. Elaine?
No, I just want to agree with Mike that I think this was a very well put together budget. I thank all the department heads and you especially for putting together a very responsible budget when people in other situations might overshoot trying to get more. I really think everybody did their absolute best to do the best they could under the least bill they could. And this year is a tough year given the drop off of the Hartford, and I just really think everyone pulled together really well. So thank you. I couldn't, as Mike said, I couldn't find anything either. So I really am grateful for all of our staff and for you for putting together, and Sean for putting together this great, solid budget.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Yeah,
go ahead.
I'm just a ditto on those two. But my question was, in the past, we've had some analysis of mill rate impact from our budget, and we didn't discuss that. I have a feeling we are not at the end of our budget discussions, but I am comfortable going forward with what we have. I too went back through line by line, and all those things that make Simsbury a special place to live, all those things that we all kind of take for granted every day, the way the town looks, the activities we get to participate in, the people we see participating in all those activities is important. And I think this budget does the best we can to preserve not only our core functions, but left something for the character of the town also, and I think that's important. So I didn't know if we had any mill rate
We do
analysis, but
Sean can pull up that analysis. I'm sorry we don't have the screen, but we do have that analysis. It was in some of my first selectmen's reports.
Yes.
But
we just didn't
Right.
discuss it for everybody to hear.
While Sean's pulling it up, I'll give an update. I was at CCM today. Kathy Austin was there. She's the co-chair of appropriations, and she advised all the municipal leaders to rely on the numbers from the appropriations at the end of April as a better set of numbers. She did not think they would be the final numbers. So in terms of planning our budgets, she could not give us a more definite, but that's at April 27th. We'll at least have the appropriations number, which she anticipated will be vastly different. She did say that the governor feels very strongly about shifting some of the pension costs to municipalities, so she did not think that was going to go away entirely. We did ask if we could take that off the table for discussions, and she said absolutely not. So that was a piece of information that was a little, in terms of where we are, we're at about 2.4. We were 2.34 prior to the addition. I'm not sure exactly we are in percent increases. The governor's proposed budget is an additional 6% on top of that, given where we are today, and that's $4.3 million in additional cost to Simsbury. We do expect that to go down, but how much, we don't know yet. Sean, were you able to pull up mill rate?
Yeah, it's connections in spotty, but right. I mean, once all included with where the Board of Education budget is now, also including a reduction in the debt service capital line, obviously went from 7% to 6.7%. All in with the revenues as we understand them now, which will do us in the worst case scenario. And we're at a total of 8.3% increase in the rate.
That includes the governors. Without the governors, it would be 2.3.
That's correct.
And ours of that is less than 1%.
That's correct. We are,
0.78.
yeah, that's right.
So it's sort of interesting. We have a higher percentage budget increase, 3.3, than the Board of Education, but our dollar number is smaller. When you look at the overall
we have a
budget, the
smaller,
impact on the mill
yeah.
rate is much smaller.
Yeah.
So that's one thing to keep in mind.
There isn't enough there for us to cut out of the increase.
And I just remind folks, we did come in 3 years in a row and flat. You can't
Absolutely.
do that forever.
Yep.
So
I just think it's good to run that
Absolutely.
through so we put some perspective on it.
absolutely. Now, I do hope that that comes down. I will say that I was talking with a friend of mine this morning, and they're at 17% increase with the governor's budget. So there's a lot of uncertain, 17%.
I thought the survey that you distributed was very informative of what other municipalities are doing to face this uncertainty, and it was surprising how many municipalities are sort of ignoring it. We don't know yet. We don't know what we're doing.
So we did get some updates this morning. So some municipalities, Rudy Marconi is sort of leading this, are going to budget and go to referendum on the expenditure budget. So ours would be the 2.324, and then wait for the governor's budget and then do supplementals out there and say, oh, by the way, this is courtesy of the state. The problem with that, it's one option, but the collection rate on supplemental bills is often less. So you do sort of run the risk on that. Some other towns were thinking about, okay, we're going to make our best guess based on the appropriation bill and then designate general fund revenue to cover any gap, kind of like what we did with the Hartford. So that's another option. Someone else mentioned you can do, short-term loan for tax anticipation dollars. We're just making stuff up. So in terms,
I don't like the sound of that.
so I said I'm not doing that. I took that off the table in terms of a recommendation. Although that's actually the Board of Finance's decision, but it's not something I would recommend. But in terms of what's out there, the problem is we will have more precise estimates at the end of April and possibly in June, but according to Kathy Austin, they may not even be done with the budget until the end of June and July, which is too late for us. So there may be some guess guesses we're going to have to take and anticipations and look at all options. But we'll be meeting with council this week, and yeah, I'm sure the Board of Finance will be having thoughtful discussions on this issue. But that's how crazy it is, yeah.
And the Board of Finance makes the decision on doing a supplemental or not. Is that true?
Well,
or
they
not?
they do, I don't know, we'll have to look into the legal things. They do set the mill rate,
That's
and they
right.
do, so,
Hard to do the notice.
yeah, we would do the notice. It's a combination. I'm not sure the legal would probably be on our recommendation and their recommendation. I assume we'll do it in a collaborative way, as we always do.
Oh, absolutely.
But I'm not sure legally what the process is, because nobody
Nobody's
has
done it.
ever done this, right? So it's all uncharted, and everybody's working. And Bob said, there's a consortium of municipal lawyers, and they're all trying to figure out what is the law on this. So everybody in the state is working on this, trying to come up with it. And CCM, as we get more guidance, will give us some. But again, there's so much unknown right now.
Right.
That it is hesitancy. The best advice we got from CCM is, don't overreact until after April. And when you have better numbers, April 27th, just hold and go slow until then, because you will have better numbers then.
So Lisa, I think that speaks to, in reality, there's always two phases to the budget process.
Right.
And I think we're really facing the first stage here, which is what's the responsible budget that tries to be as cost conscious as possible within the context of the conversation that we've already had with the Board of Finance, but also, as you say, either maintain or allows us to, expand the quality of services in town. And that's what we have before us tonight. I will echo what everyone else says. I can completely support this as the right balance. And I also think you did a very good job of preparing this so that it was very easy to go through it and understand it. Then there's phase two, which really begins to speak to this ambiguity, where we begin to do some scenario planning based on further reactions from the Board of Finance when we pass this to them. And as typically what you'll do is you'll begin to create contingencies based on what different scenarios are. So I think tonight, in terms of that first phase, I'm very pleased with the budget that we have. When you look at this in the context of increases over the last number of years, it's historically low. If nothing else, then health care costs going up and a little bit of an uptick with inflation, the budget is going to have to bubble up a little bit over previous years. So I think there's a very natural explanation as to why we, by default, end up at a higher level than previous years. So.
Thank you.
I would just add on, I agree. This is my sixth budget. I think this was a good budget I've seen.
Thank you.
There's little debate. We've all worked, I think, hard for a number of years to get to this point, but I do credit you as a staff for really presenting, I think, a very, very sound budget. And one, it's an increase, but it's easy to digest and understand. I think it's laid out well. And as I point back to your memo at the front, which I did read.
Thank you.
Multiple times, actually. It's not lost on me, and it shouldn't be lost on the taxpayers, that, health, pension, Social Security is 2% of this increase. And, those are not negotiables. We have to do that. And then you add negotiated salaries, and everybody questions, well, what does that mean, negotiated salaries? Those that we've already agreed to. And what didn't come up in our discussion that we definitely should mention is the work that town staff has done over the years with the First Selectmen's office of negotiating, I think, some pretty sound contracts and getting some sizable changes in terms of how we do healthcare and how we do pensions. And you're going to say, well, wait a minute, but the pensions and health are going up. Yes, but they could be going up a lot more had we not been able to come, I think, to some really reasonable agreements with our unions and our town staff and the folks that work in this town for coming together on that. The point I'm going is that we need to continue to do that and have good sound discussions in the context of the reality of what this budget is and what the state's doing. 3%, 4%, those types of increases on the salaries are not something that at least from my standpoint, I can continue to commit to in the economic environment that we're in, certainly in the changes, because if the state is going to continue to force costs down the municipalities' throats, that. It'll be interesting to see where the Board of Finance is going to ask the teachers' pension to be allocated to. Because as I look at it, there's no teachers in this budget book. So I wonder how that's going to be allocated and whether we're going to have to contribute or not. So it'll be interesting. I think, Chris, you're absolutely right. There's always two phases to the budget. And we've I think, intelligently and rapidly move through phase one, because we all know that phase two is going to be very challenging, but I think we're in a good spot. I think we all feel really good about where we're starting from. I think we've continued to hit our basic services. So with that, I make a motion to approve the Board of Selectmen 2017-2000 operating budget in the amount of $20,192,804 to include the following changes for the first selectmen's proposed budget. A $13,747 inclusion of a part-time police clerk at 12 hours a week, $127,000 increase in the road and drainage supplies, that's 537,410 line for salt, a $5,833 increase in the inclusion of a first selectman stipend for fiscal year 18, that's a $10,000 annualized stipend over 7 months, a $2,400 reduction in auditor fees, a $127,000 reduction in the road improvements, account 58731 for road paving, and a $5,833 reduction in the labor relations budget.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion?
No, I would just like to add that a lot of the other increases were actually not literal increases in spending, but accounting changes in the interest of transparency. I think there was a real effort this time around to be absolutely clear about what we're spending and when, and a not significant percentage, but notable enough, a number of these additions are accounting changes that reflect more openness to the public, and I think the public should know that some of these increases are an effort to be more clear about where we're spending their tax dollars. So,
Thank you. We have a motion, we have a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. We're going to skip the second motion for Monday night, and Tom, if you could remind us to make that motion Monday night. Thank you.
So I make a
Sean.
motion to approve the residential rental properties 2017-2018 operating budget in the amount of $34,222.
second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The motion carries unanimously.
So I make a motion to approve the Simsbury Farm Special Revenue Fund 2017-2018 operating budget in the amount of $1,967,955.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The motion carries unanimously.
I make a motion to approve the capital and non-recurring fund 2017-2018 operating budget in the amount of $416,250.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The motion carries unanimously.
I make a motion to add the following new projects to the capital improvement plan for fiscal year 2017-2018 in accordance with Charter Section 803B. One, park improvements for $235,000, regulation updates $65,000, finance security upgrades $150,000, library lower level improvements $906,048, 36 Drake Hill Road dike analysis $75,000, phosphorus removal analysis $150,000. We supposed to do this?
Oh, wait, yeah, Hayes Road, is that WPCA?
Those last five are all WPCA.
So we need to vote to include them in the plan.
Right, I just don't, whether you do that Monday night or not, I'm not sure, but
I'll keep going with this.
Just
We
keep
can do
going
that
if we have to
tonight.
amend
We
it.
can do
Monday.
that tonight.
Hayes Road
Yeah.
Pump Station, Hayes Road Pump Station upgrade $45,000, Terrafil area sewer repairs $100,000, and water pollution control plant update $100,000.
So some of these are additions to the line, but we went the extra cautious moment. Some we had moved further out and we moved in, or we swapped years, so we put them all on. Sean, does that accurately state?
yeah, that's correct. 803B just basically says that only projects previously approved last year for this ensuing year, can be considered without a vote from the board, a special vote here of these four members. And the park improvements was the only one that, yes, it was on there last year, but it was on there last year in 2020, moved up to 2018, while the athletic field moved out to 2020.
Are we waiting on the WPCA for any of these stuff?
So this
Well, they were all new, these five were added all new by Tony this year. I don't know whether they will change those on Thursday night. He's given me no indication they would.
But if they do, we'll do an amended motion on Monday.
Okay, well,
So my
I'll
suggestion-
second what we can do.
So my suggestion is that we are only adding these to the plan at this point. I will omit the WPCA capital projects from the actual money motion, which we can then make
Monday.
once they're actually approved. So this is merely just adding to the plan, which we
Okay.
can do with or without them.
Yep.
Sounds good. I second.
So we have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The motion carries unanimously. So I think it is our intent to eliminate the water pollution ones until Monday.
So it starts with 36 Drake Hill, and the next 5 there, all
Right.
hold.
So we'll just add those to the following,
Okay.
once they're actually set. All right, so I make a motion to approve the capital improvement program to include the following projects in fiscal year 2017, 2018. The Simsbury Farm Rink pool improvements of $950,000, park improvements $235,000, open space planning and improvements $150,000, townwide park master planning $102,000, streetlight purchase lighting improvements $400,000, Iron Horse Boulevard playground renovation $298,000, POCD land use studies $35,000, regulation updates $65,000, finance security upgrades $150,000, the senior community center $5.8 million, bridge improvements $805,000, cold storage, police DPW shared $380,000, dam evaluations and repairs $75,000, town facilities master plan $400,000, various drainage improvements $125,000, library interior parking renovations $584,500, the library lower level improvements $906,048, and the Henry James renovation phase 3, dare I say, $22,825,000, and the SHS tennis court replacement for $740,000.
Have a second.
Second?
Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The motion carries unanimously. We do have to make an 824 referral. We can wait till Monday or later on that, especially.
Last year, you've done that after the Board of Finance hearing.
Right. So eventually we will do that, so if I forget, please remind me. All right, so that is the sole work of our budget. We are presenting on the 21st to the Board of Finance, and I hope you all will join me there. Love to have you there. So we should get some additional information at that time.
What time is their meeting? We said we should announce it.
5:45.
5:45. and the-
Yeah, and I think the Board of Education is presenting their budget on the 14th. So, interesting times ahead.
Yes.
Yes, they're all fun. So, is there any other business before the board? With that, may I have a motion to adjourn,
So
please?
moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The motion carries unanimously. Thank you, everyone.
Funding for Simsbury Community Television is provided in part by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.